Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. What would it look like if Shakespeare published Romeo and Juliet today? These are the kind of thoughts that run through my head. Would Shakespeare survive today's publishing industry? Would he eat up the girls? In 2023, Colleen Hoover made up 48% of the romance market share, and I couldn't help but notice, just going down the list, where is Shakespeare, the writer of all time who basically invented the modern rom-com? And then I realized what it was. Shakespeare has a marketing problem. So I have this cover, and yeah, for a classic student, this is fine, but when you compare this to a modern romance book, you could really use this as anesthesia. So, compelled to help unknown authors like William stand out in the romance genre, started with a bit of research, looking at what are the horrible ways that he's being marketed right now. And somebody's already given his books a gorgeous modern look, and it's bloody lovely. And you'll see later on in the video, this was the very least of my problems and the beginning of my struggles. In return for some commentary on the state of romance cover design, can I offer you something worse? How are we gonna yassify Shakespeare? It's always good to start out a little bit rough sketch. I wanted to base this off of common layout compositions that you'll see in the romance genre. I listed out key themes and emotions that I wanted the cover to portray. This first one is Romeo and Juliet's infamous balcony scene where he hides underneath her balcony, which is not creepy at all. Or maybe they're both on a balcony, that New York tight space living situation. Maybe there's also the split half trend going on, the dichotomy between love and death. This one was maybe as two heads laying down in the grass. You can't really decipher the sketch, but it's okay. Your sketch really doesn't need to make sense to anyone but yourself. As much as I like this one, to me, it was giving too much foot in our sauce. Maybe they're doing the classic romance, standing back to back, smirking at each other a little bit. Maybe you've got the Montagues and the Capulets in the background. I was like, calm. When I saw this design journey, I thought, yeah, this is gonna be so easy. Done. There's always gonna be nothing. It's my nightmare. My Hamasha. And the girl who is plotting for my failure pulled me up when I was making this. Indecision. Either be this or this. I'm still stuck. Indecision is ruining my life. I'm just gonna do the first one. If indecision is ruining my life. Actually, just do the second one. Look at my shoes. I haven't decided. I can't. Actually, just do the first one. I have an inherent part of myself where I don't trust myself that I'll be able to make something. So I keep saying I'm gonna do something and I just never meet that fulfillment, and so part of my own self-trust is broken. But every problem in life can be fixed by a quick dance break and sheer will. We decided. Yeah. How do we actually repackage it so that something speaks to you as a romance novel? So modern romance is majority now illustrated, and you'll notice a lot of variation in art style. Some are a bit more detailed, some are more flat. You can follow your own art style and you don't even necessarily have to be super detailed when you're making these. But girl, I studied on Pinterest. We've put Miss Juliet on a short balcony because Juliet is the sun in the east and all, paying 2/3 of her income towards her landlord, a conglomerate property management company who has bought out most of the housing in the area, and now housing is no longer affordable. Oh wait, I forgot she's a Capulet. Never mind, this is her parents' 23rd apartment complex. I was really helpful to split the screen and lay out the references side by side to try and emulate the style of a block color with slight shading. For quite a lot of popular romance books, the lines are very clean. They use variation in line weights to show the shadows and where the light might hit. For me, I didn't want to make the line that clean. I wanted to add a little bit of my own pizzazz, kind of textured brush. I think the state of being creative, and in order to achieve anything, you need a little bit of delusion. And I have a lot of delusion, but just never any action. And to be candid, I think I struggle a lot with the gap between who I want to be, what I want to create, and who I am now. I've been trying to make drawing a habit since I was like 11. I'm 25. When I'm showing you this process, making jokes and whatever, and this does not show you the hours and hours of the indecision and my number one enemy, color theory. I get a lot of these mental blocks that I'm always just scared of, like what would happen if I spent all this time and actually can't do the thing that I want to do. And to try and get past this block, I've been taking structured classes to help, like on color theory, on Procreate. I took one called Procreate Basics, Get Started with Digital Illustration, and the other one I took was Procreate for Professionals, Workflow and File meal prep. Trying to help me fill in those knowledge gaps and take the stress away from having to decide, so I can just kind of follow along and just do it, you know? Half of the skills in this was using the class skills that I learned. For example, thinking about adding texture to drawing, how to use harmonic colors to evoke an emotion. And I found these classes on Skillshare, which I've been using for a few years now, which is the largest online learning community for creatives. They have thousands and thousands of classes led by experts in the industry. I've taken a lot of their drawing and illustration classes, but they also have photography, 3D, writing, marketing, UX, UI. Guys, this is the summer that we actually do the skill that we've been wanting to do, and their learning paths, which are curated sequential classes, have been really useful in getting me started, whether you're just starting out or you want to develop a specific career skill. And I'm so happy that they've decided to sponsor this video, because maybe you're a relay and you're a thought daughter in spirit like me, too much overthinking, and I really want you guys to feel empowered to follow your interests. So I've partnered up with Skillshare to get you a free trial, and the first 500 people to use my link in the description below will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So use that now if you're interested before it runs out. And using my link specifically helps out Skillshare, the sponsors of the channel, and helps me out as well. We aged her up in this illustration, and I suggest William age her up as well, because firstly, it's romance, secondly, spice sells, thirdly, we cannot be having 13-year-old Juliet on the cover. That's unless you want to catch a case. So I suggest to William, maybe make her college age or a little bit older. Maybe make her about to join like an ice hockey team or something. Just an idea. Maybe age up Romeo as well, because she's also holding a rose, which by any other name would smell as sweet. Her outfit should be simple enough for me to draw. I meant not distracting and exemplary of her age. Initially she was wearing a slip dress, but I actually think something more cottagecore would work for this, because I feel like it has that romantic 1500s corset feel, but it's modern and bucolic. But maybe like her strap has fallen down to hit at a bit of romance and spice, which doesn't actually exist. For Romeo's character design, I was like, let's think about young Leonardo DiCaprio, but make him more blonde, billowy, billionaire shit, and not too tight jeans. At this point in the video, I know what you're thinking. Am I gonna address the elephant in the room? Oh, but Romeo and Juliet is not even a romance, it's more of a tragedy, it's not even a novel, it's a play. We're here to sell. We're here to get the kids to stop making podcasts and reading lines like we both laughed at our son's big balls, and instead read lines like, this bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when we next meet. I don't even know what that means. No more brunch and Fortnite on the weekends. More Shakespeare and Emily Henry analysis. Speaking of color theory, initially I wanted a dusky sunset using purples, because purple is Miss Girl. She is the most common color in modern romance covers. I think purple is a good mixture of the, you know, blue-red, star-crossed lovers from two households, both alike in dignity, representation quite well. Title and fonts. If we're trying to modernize Mr. William, font-wise there's quite a few choices. I'd recommend a slightly rounded sans serif for a softer yet weighty romance, or there's also a whole host of different handwritten cursives. For this one we went with a slightly more energetic, passionate variety. We've grounded that in the middle, like it's giving love letter. Now we could stick with the old title of Romeo and Juliet. Outdated. Or we could go with a more modern approach that's more action oriented and personal. For example, bite my thumb. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? We want the reader to know more about the book, even if it's not that evident in the setting of the cover. Like, what's the relationship dynamic? Maybe it's more yearning. Well, in Romeo and Juliet's infamous case of teenagers doing insta love, we can accurately say that they're barely even friends. Yet, their love is deadly. Aha! And a note to tell the readers what they really want to know when they pick up a romance book. What is the spice level? A little subtitle, a tragic love story, for all those who are complaining that, oh my god, Romeo and Juliet isn't even a tragedy, you can't be doing it, what's the point of this video, blah 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 blah. And for fine attention, I use a leaf brush to emulate rose petals, and add leading lines throughout the composition. Direct your eye throughout the text. What I learned during the courses is that you can also use brightness and color contrast to direct the reader's vision and really tell a story with your composition. And here we go, folks. We're giving him a facelift, buccal fat removal, rhinoplasty, cheek implant, lip filler, Botox, The whole works. Shakespeare's about to look snatched. I couldn't decide which color scheme to go towards. They had a sort of pinkish, purplish love, or the sort of midnighty blue. Let me know which one you prefer. Final touch is just some trope telling marketing so that you get the readers that you want to get. For example, insta-love, miscommunication, forbidden love. And Mr. William, you are bound to increase sales. Now, will customers pick it up a little bit upset when there is no spice and it's 500-year-old text? Maybe. Will they feel misled? Perhaps. But will this now catapult you into success and sales? Given that this is your competition, perchance. Maybe romance books have a marketing problem. I don't know. Maybe that's a video for another time. Now, if you'd like me to consult and identify any other classic or small unknown author who's been dead for 200 years, my services are more than open for briefs in the comments below. What would you have titled this? Boop. As we all know, once you're over the age of 25, you're basically worthless. And Shakespeare is... good God, well over the age of 25. Boop. Buckle fat face removal, minor plasty.